Norway is the kingdom of fjords, where narrow inlets plunge deeper than the Empire State Building stands tall. Yet few realize this. A land locked in eternal cold somehow nurtures Europe's most bountiful little Edens. Breathe in the salty, knife-sharp bite of the Arctic wind. Listen to the deep, thunderous roar as glaciers calve and crash. Feel the damp, cool kiss of mist rising from Våringfossen waterfall. Well, watch the quiet Jante spirit square off against the dizzying 2,300-foot drop of Trolltunga. Pagan timber craftsmanship collides with cutting-edge design at the Oslo Opera House. And bone-chilling frost guards more than 1 million seeds humanity's global backup plan. This journey is carved into granite itself, from Lysefjord all the way north to 69 degrees in Tromso, a story of raw endurance. Do you dare step into a place where polar bears outnumber people, just to find out what you're really made of? If the answer is yes, come with me, where the Earth is the architect, and humans, well, we're the ones who refuse to break. Fly over Norway, especially Westland, and one thing hits you hard. Nature here isn't just scenery, it's the damn architect. Over thousands of years, colossal Ice Age glaciers swept through like a giant chisel, gouging out perfect U-shaped valleys. The erosion was so brutal, it makes America's biggest mountains look almost polite. When the ice melted, it left us the fjord's breathtaking wonders, and nowhere shows off that scale better than Sognefjord, the longest and deepest fjord on Earth. It's downright unreal, gliding across water deeper than the Empire State, is tall, hemmed in by sheer granite walls that shoot straight up. Take a slight detour into Fjord, a UNESCO masterpiece. Here, the fjord squeezes down to just a few hundred feet wide. You feel like you've slipped inside a natural cathedral, where even a whisper of wind echoes forever. Ice and water are inseparable here. Meltwater from high glaciers comes roaring down, forming monsters like Våringfossen water hurling itself into the abyss, throwing up a cool, wet veil of mist. The frozen stuff also sculpted jaw-dropping features like Trolltunga, a flat slab of rock jutting out 2,300 feet above the lake. Standing on it, yeah, that'll test where your personal edge really is. The wild part? This brutal landscape grows little pockets of paradise. Thanks to the warm breath of the Gulf Stream, even with snow still capping the peaks, you'll find apple and cherry trees exploding into blossom along the fjord slopes. Here, the cold flips the script. It becomes the very thing that lets life bloom like crazy. The quiet architects are the mosses and lichens, clinging stubbornly to every crack in the rock, proof this ecosystem refuses to quit. Westland wasn't just carved by ice isolation, and water shaped it too. Thousands of years ago, these fjords weren't barriers. They were the Vikings' interstate highways. The deep, sheltered fjords provided perfect natural naval bases, enabling them to project power across the entire Atlantic. All that isolation forged a fierce cultural identity and a rock-solid sense of community. It's written into the unwritten Jantelov. Don't think you're anything special. That rule mirrors the tough, together or nothing mindset hammered out by surviving this land. All that resilience funnels into Bergen, the biggest city in western Norway, the undisputed gateway to the fjords. Bergen's harbor isn't just a trade hub, it's the lifeline tying far-flung communities together. The star is Bergen, those colorful wooden warehouses lined up like stubborn old soldiers. 14th century Hanseatic trading legacy right there. Bergen has burned down at least 7 times. Every single time, the people rebuild it exactly the same talk about unbreakable spirit. While Bergen is the urban heart, deeper in the fjords another architectural treasure waits, born from isolation and local timber, the stave churches. With their intricate wooden skeletons, these churches are a gorgeous mashup of Viking pagan carving and Christian design Norway's unique way of saying, yeah, we adapt. And that's when you feel at deepest the quiet, stubborn endurance soaked into every beam. From the majestic cliff of Trolltunga to the humble Jante spirit, everything in Westland points to one truth. Endurance, nature forged by ice, people forged by solitude. Welcome to Oslo. First thing that hits you, the air smells clean. Like, actually clean. You're standing right at the head of the famous Oslofjord. This city doesn't sit alone. It's cradled in a bowl of lush green hills and thick forests, especially the wild Nordmarka stretching north. Oslo doesn't push nature away. It pulls it close. The terrain is a smooth mix. Gentle coastal flats perfect for strolling. Then, suddenly hills rise up, daring you to hike. Walk a few miles and you're in proper wilderness. No surprise, Oslo was named European Green Capital. Sustainability here isn't a slogan, it's a promise they keep. Sit down with a coffee and you can actually trust the air you're breathing is some of the purest you'll ever get. That blend of forest and water, city and wild, that's Oslo's heartbeat. From that green pulse, we step into history. Oslo is one of Scandinavia's oldest capitals, roots going back around the year 1000. When Viking ships pulled in to trade. It was a medieval powerhouse until a massive fire forced a rebuild and a name change to Christiania. Remnants of Viking and medieval days still sleep beneath the modern layers, giving the city real depth. Swing along the waterfront and the architecture shifts into the future. The crown jewel? The Oslo Opera House. A massive white marble slope rising straight out of the water. The best part, you're invited to walk right up the roof, stand at the top in that golden late afternoon light and feel culture actually belong to everyone, Oslo doesn't just live next to nature, it lives inside it. You can disappear into dense forest in the morning, admire world-class architecture in the afternoon, all without breaking a sweat. That effortless calm is what we came looking for. Leaving Oslo, one image sticks. Razor-sharp buildings softened by endless green hills rolling away. It's a quiet reminder that people and nature can grow together majestic, yet utterly peaceful. Nowhere else does that harmony feel so obvious and so easy to breathe. If Oslo is Norway's cultural heartbeat and its sleek modern gateway, then Rogaland is where history and raw energy crash together, tucked away down in the southwest. We start where Rogaland shows off its primal muscle. This is nature at its most violent. Ancient glaciers slice the land open, leaving sheer cliffs and deep gashes that claw inland. It may not have the sprawling fjord network of Westland up north, but all that geologic drama is concentrated here in the legendary Fjord of Light. A narrow, cold, impossibly deep crack where colossal granite walls rocket straight up from emerald water, easily one of the most jaw-dropping sights in southwestern Norway. The star of the show, the one the whole world wants to stand on, Preikestolen Pulpit Rock. It's a 2.4-mile hike each way over steep stone paths, through sparse forest and glacier-polished granite. Then you step out onto a nearly perfectly square slab hanging 1,982 feet above Lysefjord. Out there on that 82-foot wide platform, the wind hits you hard, salty, damp, straight off the North Sea. Sunlight catches the cracks and veins carved over thousands of years, and you just stand there, feeling very small. But Rogaland isn't only towering rock and bottomless fjords. It's layered with stories. Take Stavanger. Long before black gold, this was Norway's sardine canning capital through the 19th and early 20th centuries. The air used to smell of smoked herring, salt, and clanging factories. That was the economic heartbeat. Then the 70s hit. Oil was found in the North Sea. Overnight, Stavanger became the capital of a brand new energy era. Leave the steel and concrete oil age behind and wander into Gamle Stavanger, more than 170 snow-white wooden houses on cobblestone streets. Late afternoon light drips honey over the rooftops. Roses and herbs spill their scent. It's almost ridiculously cozy. Sit with a coffee, listen to conversations in half a dozen languages, and you realize Stavanger isn't just the gateway to dramatic cliffs, it's where adventure souls come to meet. Now, picture a place where contrasts turn savage. Nordland stretches above the Arctic Circle, pure geologic theater. The land here is living proof of time's brute force. Ruled by the mighty Lofoten Wall, a jagged chain of knife-edge granite peaks. Those mountains think Svalbard shoot straight out of the deep blue Norwegian Sea like they're daring you to look away. Svartisen, Norway's second largest glacier, plus sweeping U-shaped valleys, remind you that ancient ice never really stopped sculpting. Feel the cold bite of glacier air, the salty sting of ocean wind on your face. Up here, light runs the show. Summer brings the midnight sun 24 hours of golden glow. That endless orange light rewires your body clock and makes plants explode in a surreal, never-ending day. Then winter drops in, and Nordland becomes one of the best places on the planet to wait for the northern lights ribbons of green and violet dancing overhead. The ocean here isn't background, it's alive. Around Vesterålen and Andens, you can watch whales real, close, breathtaking whales. From the boat you hear the whoosh of killer whales breathing, watch humpbacks disappear under the hull. The sheer scale of Arctic wildlife hits you in the chest. Salt spray on your skin, cold air in your lungs, you feel tiny in the presence of something ancient and enormous. Turn inland a little. Nordland's culture is tied to the sea, but it carries even older blood. These islands are stamped with Viking footprints. At the Lofort Viking Museum in Borg, you step inside a reconstructed longhouse. Damp timber and hearth smoke tell the story better than any textbook. Fishing villages turned the landscape into home. Follow the coast and you'll see the iconic red rorbuer cabins on stilts, originally rough seasonal shelters for fishermen. Today, they're the beating heart of perfectly preserved villages like Reine and Hamnøy. Walk those shores and you feel an honest, salt-crusted way of life that's still very much alive. Deeper inland lies another layer of northern humanity, the indigenous Sami. Sami culture revolves around traditional reindeer, herding a refined nomadic life woven into the Arctic's natural cycles. Spending time with the Sami gives you a raw, honest look at how people have danced with this brutal environment for thousands of years. Nordland is a full sensory assault, a place where sea, mountain, and light collide to tell a story of survival and staggering beauty. It invites you to stroll empty beaches, hole up in warm cabins, and listen to the Arctic wind whisper secrets. Ever wondered what life feels like deep inside the Arctic Circle? Imagine days that never end and nights that never begin. That's Tromso, the jewel of northern Norway. It sits in a geographic sweet spot, 69 degrees north, farther north than Anchorage, Alaska, or even Reykjavik, Iceland. The biggest city in the far north, mostly on Little Tromso Island, tied to the mainland by the soaring Tromso Bridge. Stand here, and you're not just looking at a city, you're looking at a grand natural laboratory. Urban streets are wrapped by deep blue fjords, snow-draped mountains, and countless far-off islands. Ride the Fjellheisen cable car up Storsteinen. From the top, the tundra rolls out a sweep of snow, rock, and sparse taiga forest most Americans only ever see in textbooks. What really puts Tromso on the map is the insane play of light. Nicknamed the Arctic Aurora Capital, it sits right under the Aurora Belt. Those green-violet silk curtains are basically a winter nightly show. Swing into history, and you feel the pioneer spirit thick in the air. Tromso was the gateway city, the last stop and supply base for legendary Arctic explorers like Roald Amundsen. On windy days, you can almost smell the old trade in furs and cod liver oil that once made this a booming Arctic hub. Stroll downtown and the architecture throws you beautiful opposites. On one side, the oldest wooden houses in northern Norway, painted bold colors to fight the cold. On the other, the Arctic Cathedral, a modern masterpiece shaped like an ice pyramid or an upturned boat. Its massive stained glass window, one of Europe's largest, catches the northern light and turns the inside warm and sacred. All this energy explains the nickname Paris of the North. Don't let the latitude fool you, the culture and nightlife here never sleep. It's not just research labs, it's home to international film and music festivals. It's mind-blowing that a place this vibrant thrives in the middle of Arctic isolation and cold. Tromso proves that even at 69 degrees north, the human spirit is bigger than any frozen landscape. You have to go farther, to the place where the road finally gives up and the ocean takes over. That's Finnmark, where the Arctic breath finally hits you full in the face. Cold, clean, and absolutely spellbinding. Picture a land that only knows freeze. No towering mountains like western Norway here, just the vast Finnmarksvidda, plateau and near-flat tundra carpet, almost treeless, silent under a blanket of permafrost. Follow the legendary E6 highway, the lone lifeline, an engineering marvel, and the contrast punches you. Endless empty inland on one side, an endless ragged coastline kissing the Bergen Sea on the other. The wind here tastes of salt and cuts like a blade. Nothing else on earth feels quite like it. The heart of the adventure is North Cape, a sheer cliff more than 1,000 feet high that thrusts defiantly into the ocean, marking the end of mainland Norway. Stand there and you realize you've come farther north than almost anywhere else people call home. Winter nights turn the cold razor sharp, bone deep the real polar test. Yet life hangs on, stubborn as ever. The classic tundra ecosystem, nothing but moss, lichen, and tough little plants that laugh at the freeze is proof that adaptation is king. Then, out in Fjord, a giant creature built an entire industry: the king crab. These monsters tip the scales at 20 pounds, both a brutal challenge and a lifeline for local fishermen, and hands down one of the best meals you'll ever pull from the sea. Survival in Finnmark has always been about grit. Its position isn't just geographic, it's geopolitical, pressed up against Russia and Finland, a crossroads of cultures and ecosystems. Towns like Kirkenes were vital Arctic bases, mining hubs, historic Barents seaports linking Scandinavia to the east. But this land knows tragedy. In World War II, retreating Nazi forces burned almost everything to the ground's scorched earth. After 1945, people rebuilt from zero, creating a distinctive post-war modern style all their own. Buildings built for function, wrapped in cold-proof materials, giving Finnmark a unified look you won't find in the quaint southern towns. It's a beautiful mashup of new and ancient. Small churches and museums hold deep stories of endurance and rebirth. Every street corner radiates defiance, a quiet, fierce belief that tomorrow can still be brighter. You'll carry home the blaze of the aurora and the wild taste of sea wind. You feel the immensity of nature and the undeniable, magnificent beauty of a land that simply refuses to quit. Now, think of a place where the thermometer doesn't just drop, it becomes a measure of existence itself, where human life is a quiet agreement with the eternal power of ice. That place is Svalbard, a miraculous dot on the map, a raw reminder of our planet's wild, unbreakable heart. Svalbard isn't one island. It's an archipelago perched halfway between mainland Norway and the North Pole, stretching from roughly 74 to 81 degrees north, farther north than any settlement in Alaska. More than 60% of it is buried under ice caps and glaciers, an endless sweep of pearl white. When you walk here, you're stepping on permafrost hundreds of feet deep that only softens a little during the short summer. This is the kingdom of the polar bear. Roughly 3,000 bears roam here, more than the roughly 2,900 humans who call it home. Leave any settlement and a rifle becomes mandatory gear, not because of people, but because the true lords of the ice might come say hello. That single fact forces every one of us to bow to nature. You'll smell the salty, freezing breath of massive glaciers carving into the sea, a deep, earth-shaking roar like the Ice Age itself sighing. But Svalbard isn't only ice and bears. Its history is a tangled tale of exploitation and international deal-making. Centuries ago, this was the brutal center of Arctic whaling and trapping, a white gold rush on ice. Everything shifted in 1920 with the Svalbard Treaty. It gave citizens of signatory countries, including the United States, equal rights to live and work here. That's why, alongside the Norwegian administrative town of Longyearbyen, you'll still find Pyramiden, an abandoned Soviet mining settlement frozen in time. Walking those silent streets feels like stepping into a strange slice of Cold War history locked forever in permafrost. Longyearbyen itself is a glorious contradiction. Against the white and grey desolation, sturdy wooden houses are painted blazing yellow, red, and blue little bursts of fire against the vast gloom. Head up the frozen mountainside and you'll reach humanity's greatest engineering backup plan, the Svalbard Global Sea Vault. They call it the Doomsday Vault, carved deep inside a mountain of perpetual ice, a global treasure chest. It safeguards more than 1 million seed samples, the world's insurance policy against catastrophe. A powerful symbol, life itself kept safe under the guardianship of eternal coal. That same cold enforces one of the strangest laws on Earth. No one is allowed to die here. The ground won't let the dead rest. Because the ground here is permanently frozen, bodies don't decompose, which is why there's an actual rule: no one is allowed to die and be buried in this town. The final compromise with the permafrost. Standing between that eternal ice and the breathtaking silence of Svalbard, you suddenly feel it. You're right on the doorstep of a world that still hasn't been tamed. The cold here isn't an absence, it's the guardian of something untouched, something primal. Isn't that the whole stubborn belief that life will always find a way locked inside this very ice? If these raw stories of resilience hit you somewhere deep, come along. Keep following the journey with me. Welcome back to the adventure. Until the next discovery,